Welcome to the Service MVP podcast. My name is Joe Crisara, America's Service Sales Coach. And we have with us two very special guests, Rocky Lozano and his son, Andrew Lozano from Air One Services in Colton, California. Guys, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having us.
Well, today was a very special day. They were being instructed this week on how to do call-by-call management for their service team. And I'll just let them talk about the experience that they had and lessons learned, so all of you can kind of learn vicariously through the effort that they made. Rocky, you want to start with a little bit about the history of the company and how you got to where you're at today?
Yeah,
with,
sure, Joe.
A true family business with, I think it's 4 sons.
4 sons.
And he still got his wife too, believe it or not. So that's achievement right there. Somehow he stayed married. I don't know how he did it, but he did. So good job on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, guys, we've been in business for 17 years, and it is a family-owned business. I have all my boys, 4 sons actually working for us, and my wife, and we have a pet dog there too, running around. We have joined. I think we've been with Joe now for about a year, right, Andy? About a year, and it's been remarkable, Joe, as far as just the learning. We did just complete the call-by-call this week. We did it in-house, so we did training for 5 weeks, Joe, the online, and we made a decision to come in for the 4 days here at the Culver City office to do it hands-on with the America's coach here, and it has been remarkable. It looked like a NASA center as we set it up. We were on the big screen. We had our Service Titan set up. We also had our CXC AI, and also we had our maps all set up, and it was great as far as just coaching the guys. We saw a lot of gaps in ourselves, but we strengthened ourselves with the guys in the last 4 days as far as observation. And I'm going to let Andrew talk about that.
We'll go over a little bit of that. Okay. So Andrew is the sales professional at the company. He's the one who's the main sales function over there, where he takes the jobs and sells them. But he now has taken on the role of sales coach for Air One. Andrew, what are some of the lessons you learned this week that were significant? Although you took some call-by-call training, what are some significant things that you say are extremely important that you learned this week? Can you share that with everybody?
Yeah, definitely, Joe. So what I would say was extremely important was definitely the observation that you're having the techs do when they're out there. And you're making sure that everything's on code. You're making sure that you put the customer's name in there, and you want each line item that you have in that observation to line up with what you actually have for your solutions, right? That way it flows, just presenting the observation, it flows right into the solutions for the customer. And that way it's relevant, and they're thinking, oh man, they really do care, right? And make sure you're listening and finding that code and putting that in there for them.
So there was some things about the management of the process or the flow of the calls, right? We learned that too this week. Rocky, do you want to go tell us a little bit about that? The significant difference between just like, hey, the dispatcher just gives people calls and we'll just watch what they're doing. Is that really call by call, Rocky? Or tell us a little bit more specifically about the control of the flow of the opportunities. Can you go over that with us a little bit?
Yeah, we sure can. So I learned in myself that I had a lot of dysfunction before this week, because we would just give the actual text the call, dispatch them and go. And we were doing that for years. We learned this week that it's important to test the pulse of the technicians to make sure that they are doing all the practices that we've implemented before they actually get their next call, Joe. And we realized that coaching them that way, they have been more successful. They take their time when they're out there with the customer to offer them just the best service that we can. We realized we were just hit and run, go, do as fast as you can and get out. A lot of dysfunction that we saw this week, but it's improved as far as just looking at the guys, monitoring them, having them check in 3 times before they even go to the call. We're checking the call. We're going through that with them. Number 2, that before they present their options, we're looking at those, and we're also helping them to title it and also to build the observation that's specifically, is that the word, Andy? Specifically designed for that customer, which we have been leaving out for years.
How important is that, Andy? Do you think the customized, relevant experience, and not just the solution, but also the problems. Can you go over that a little bit with us, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say, you know, that making the problem relevant to the customer is very important, right? Because if it's not relevant, then what does the customer think? Oh, well, this guy just wants to sell me stuff. You know, but if you tie it back to, hey, you know, well, what did you tell me about your daughter, Emily, that she suffers from allergies? And that's the reason why I put this in here, is because it bothers me that Emily is suffering from that. And when you do that, they're going to see that it's, you know, it's relevant to them, and that you actually do care about their family and the safety and health.
I think we had your brother Richard, who is one of the top service guy there in the company. And I said to him, I said, man, Richard, we got the observations, or the summary with the observations in it, so perfect. I told him, I said, you know what? They're going to sell themselves on this one. And sure enough, what did he say to us, Andrew, on that one?
Yeah, that he sold it.
he goes, Joe, you were right. They both of them listened to what I had to say, and the way it was written, because the way it was written, it just flowed for him. And I said, you know what, Richard, you literally could have had the customer read those observations themselves instead of you reading it. I think we worded it so well that you'd have to be brain dead not to be able to get it. And understand that everything we did this week was all maintenance calls. We had no repair demand calls and opportunity calls, and we've had several sales that were over $2,000. I mean, we've had a great number of sales in just the 4 days we've been here, over $2,000 an average thing. And I think the biggest thing in the intangible, Rocky, is the confidence of the guys. What do you think? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I believe their confidence was with us helping them. We were like in a coach on a call. As they were going through that, they would give us a call to reinforce them, and I saw that they were strengthening themselves in that. It's a game changer as far as them just doing it on their own, right? We gave them the paper before and just, hey, go ahead and take care of that. But now there is accountability. There is some accountability with them calling in. And these guys want to get it right. And that's the great part of it. They want to get it right. They want to offer pure emotive service to the customer. So it really helped us out to offer the best service we could and can for our customer.
Well, now we have also introduced the concept of the daily huddle. And Andrew is now going to be operating that daily huddle. He's the first performance coach for the team, and he had now 3 daily huddles. We had the first one a little bit. We're just kind of getting our feet together, but by today, I think we had a little bit more of the format down. Andrew, and just so everybody knows what happens on that, the team does not get their first call until they attend that huddle. If you don't attend the huddle, you don't get a call until you check in with the performance coach first. So the difference I think we experienced was that what maybe some people missing with call by call is that the dispatcher doesn't give up the calls. The performance coach does the meeting and then says, okay, the tech is ready for the next call. And they tell the dispatcher to give the guy the next call. The guy does the call as we're kind of guiding him through it and making sure everything's correct and it's perfect. So if the observations are correct, the option sheet's correct, the bring it to a conclusion, yes, no, another appointment, and get the payment. Those things are done. And then the performance coach, if everything's done right, tells the dispatcher, go ahead and give him his next call, or he's going to go to lunch. So the call by call leader is one who is controlling the flow of this thing. That's the thing I think I want everybody to know. I think the lesson I think everybody kind of got this week, which is that everybody can only get the next call when they do everything right. So the thing about trying to save a lost call is not happening anymore, because pretty much we didn't lose any calls. Every call was either sold or moved forward to a future date. I pretty much say everything. I think we had like one person said they're not interested in not seeing anything. But that was out of 4 days and what, 3 technicians? How many guys we have out there?
Yeah, I believe we had a total of 5.
5 technicians out there. So out of 5 technicians doing maintenance calls all week for 4 days, only one customer said, I don't want to see anything. It's not bad, right? And it's pretty good conversion, either converted now or yet to be converted in the future. Andrew, let's talk a little bit about the huddle, though. How important do you think that is to communicate on a constant basis with the team like that?
Yeah, I think it's really important because when you do the huddle, right, we're sharing the wins, right? So it's I believe it's encouraging for the whole team to see success, and then also to also see the lessons to be learned, right? Maybe you haven't ran into that yet, and that's going to help you not run into it, or maybe you have, and to see somebody else learn from it, it's encouraging, because then it's a learning lesson for the whole team, but also a win for the whole team too. So we're in, and you're able to have the morale up when we do have those wins, and help each other with things that will come up in the future with your past, your wins and your losses, essentially, right? Your lessons learned.
And then based on that information, the performance coach then says, okay, guys, we heard what everybody said today. Today, here's the theme. We have a new assignment for today. Yes. What do you think of that, Rocky? That the whole team every day has this new assignment based on some of the wins and lessons learned from yesterday. Rocky, what do you think of that?
That was great, because I know as the practice goes, you ask the fellas, what were some of their wins, and then you choose a theme from one of those, so that the whole team can learn from that, right? So if a guy's out there winning, hey man, what was your secret? How did you succeed? What was your code? What did you, how did the conversation go? How did the call go? So they can elaborate on that. And then what that would do was encourage some of the guys who might be struggling just in that area of the program. So it was actually very encouraging. And I think that doing it this way, it actually brings the topic up, because a lot of times we might not have a topic. What are we talking about today?
Mm-hmm.
And so this helps us, because this is true to life, what the guys are actually going through out there, that we can actually address that day. And Joe, you were telling us about that it is a day of encouragement, no negativity as well,
mm-hmm.
in that meeting. So we want to lift those guys up, and I really like that.
Well, I think one thing we learned is to never be afraid to ask all day long. Are you feeling cared for, respected, and supported? Because I think sometimes the call-by-call management gets a bad name, like Andrew, like you're going to micromanage me all day. And we have some pretty experienced people, like his own brother, which can get kind of dicey when you're guiding your own brother. He's got 3 brothers he's guiding through this thing, and somehow it all came together where everybody they lost the brotherly sarcasm, and they were like, you know what, I'm going to play it straight this week. and make sure and he did too, by the way. It's like yeah, I'm not going to do any of the other normal brother stuff we do this week. We're just going to play it straight and see if we can get this thing done. And truthfully, guys, it kind of brings together the thing where there's time to be a professional, and there's time to goof around like brothers do and things like that, and fathers and brothers, and even the mom, she likes to goof around too a little bit. But there's a time where it's like, okay, guys, we're working now. Let's get this thing together. What do you think about this? The whole format of the kind of like the standard of professionalism, Andrew, that it kind of sets forth for the whole team and the culture of the team. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the standard for us is if we sort of have a, united front as a family where it's, Richard's calling me before he even dispatches, and so is Emmanuel, and so is Steven. It almost gives off the vibe that, we're setting, like you said, the standard for professionalism. They're going to see that, and they're going to be, well, man, if Richard's doing it, and so are all the other brothers, and man, I better do it too.
Right. Well, the thing I saw also is that there was a company standard for the way we diagnose now. And we didn't just leave it to the technician to say,
right.
We had some interesting things like, this thing, the drain is not quite level, and maybe they on their own privately, they might just let that go. But now, because we have oversight, and it's like, what do you think? No, it's like, because it's getting up there in the price, and then we have to correct something. Hey, dude, we're not in the banking business. We're in the solution business. Yes. Let's make sure we give them the price regardless. And so all that kind of mother and the truck stuff kind of melted away. Rocky, do you want to talk about that a little bit? How, sometimes you're out there on your own, you feel pressure. When you're working with a team, it's like you kind of clears it to say, my boss is supporting me. He's actually telling me on this part of it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke with a few guys this week, and I said, disconnect yourself from the outcome, because if they're too much in the outcome, then they keep their mother in the truck. They're offering solutions as if they were paying for them, and sometimes they need to disconnect. They need to disconnect themselves. Not sometimes, they just definitely need to just disconnect themselves from the result. What you're doing is, I told him, you're a physician. So when you go out there, it's like finding something that's wrong with them, but yet you might be reserved because you don't want to give them that diagnosis because they might not have enough money. Somebody's sick, maybe, perhaps, right? Hey, you got cancer. I don't want to let you know that you have cancer. So I'm just going to let you go ahead because I don't think you have enough money for treatment. I said, that's really not our place. What we do is we just lay all the options down and let them choose. Disconnect yourself from the outcome, but yet offer the pure motives and let them choose what to do. So we actually role play that a few times this week.
I did tell Trina, who's the who's one of the person who really runs the office in the company there back at Air One, and I said to her on day one, I said, well, tomorrow's the day we start the company again. We're gonna this is the first day of the company. It's the first day of the company's operation. I said, how long have you been in business? How long have you been?
17 years.
I said, well, tomorrow's day one.
Yeah, we're starting over. So we're having a 1 year, 1 day anniversary.
1 day anniversary, and it's 1 day at a time. You know what I saw in this thing was like a control center. Like we have our big 16-foot wide by 9-foot tall TV on the wall we have here at Service MVP, and they have all the stuff on the big screen, and I'm literally up there pointing to what we need to change on the option sheet. And we're like a football coaches scrambling to get the thing right. And the energy. What do you think of the energy, Andrew? Can you talk about the energy you felt from not just us, but even from the team? Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. You feel, you could sort of feel like the excitement too. Like, I'm ready. Let's do it. And, we're doing it up there. We're feeling it out. Oh man, that's really good. Yeah. Oh yeah, man, that's good. So, you could definitely tell the energy is definitely up while we're doing it. Plus, you have Joe here, so you better do it right.
You know what I did, Joe? I was sending the guys pictures of us coaching so the guys could actually see what we were doing in the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So they could see like, hey, Joe's up there. Oh my goodness. So he's going to call him. And it's funny because they got to talk to Joe live, right? It was amazing.
But yeah, the energy was really good. And, we're in the learning process. So right after we would get off one call, the next guy's calling, boom, let's hit it. And we're hitting it. And for about a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you're just building those options and it's fun. And it's exciting for us because we finish that option, we're waiting and we get the text that the guy sold the job, and it's I believe everybody feeds off that when they see the success of everybody else.
True.
Well, I think the week started out where I was kind of like the head coach of the team, and then I handed the reins over to Andrew, and then Rocky jumped in and said, I'll take over for a little bit here and there. And it's interesting how I see not only the confidence of the guys in the field, but the confidence of both of you kind of understanding and getting more faith every day and every hour the process went forward, that you got more belief in what we were trying to do with this too. Could you talk about that, Rocky?
Yeah. You know what? Like I said, again, we did the coaching online, but there's nothing that compares to actually coming into the office, right? And sitting next to the coach here. It was very exciting. The dynamics of being taught how to run a proper call was great. So Andrew was sitting there and I would be watching him, and Joe's up there telling him what to title, how to do this, change this, and Andrew was following along. And by day 3 and day 4, I saw Andrew actually starting to take control, and Joe was just leaning back and watching Andrew, and he'd jump in there, of course, but I saw him let him lead it, and it's been great because I think now we have a definite grasp of it. We're not perfect, but we have a definite grasp of what we need to know.
You start to look at it that way. One thing I was going to say is that this is a 4-day event. The first day we just kind of go over to kind of review some of the coaching philosophies, and by end of the first day, we really just walked through like one call to see what would happen. By day 2, we went live, and there was a little bit of a scramble and like, okay, what do we do? And everybody started getting it together. By day 3, it was like, I think we got this. And but even that, every day there's like a little bit more you learned, right? Did you think like, what am I going to do? How can I do this 4 days? Like, Andrew, do we run out of things to learn at all? Would you say?
No. I don't think we did.
Because a lot of people like say, what am I going to learn in 4 days? Can't you just do this in 1 or 2 days? What do you think about that?
No, you can't. No, you can't. So yeah, like he said, the second day we're really scrambling, and then by the third day we're getting a grasp of it, and then by the 4th day, after doing so many of those observations and things like that, Like you sort of know what you need to see in there. And then even the technicians now, they started to get start to get the process as well.
Yeah.
So then, right, that's the goal, is you want the team to be able to right, pretty much do it themselves to where when they're comfortable with it, and then when you take a look at it, it's almost like you're just making a little bit of tweaks. But you know, the goal is to be like, okay, well, we're good there, go ahead and present, and then on to the, you know, the next the other techs that you're managing as well.
So before we came in here, we just checked the result too. He probably is what everybody wants to hear. Now we didn't do any lead turnovers this week. We only worked on the service part of it to make sure they got this right. Lead turnover training is yet to come to make sure we can do that phase 2. But what was the average for just only maintenance call? We had 0 demand calls. Rocky, do you recall what the average sale was?
Yes,
for this thing?
I believe it was, we did a total of 25 maintenance calls, and the average ticket was what, Andy?
I think it was about like, yeah, like a little under 14, like
Yeah, a little
like
bit under
probably about-
$14,000.
The 1400.
Yeah, 14,000, I wish, right? Anyways, it was 1,400 a call, average ticket over all that. So it was, out of 25, it was 1,400, which is remarkable versus, I mean, average ticket most of the time is what? A decent one in the industry, they say, is $250, $450.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the average ticket was about $1,400. To me, what I really saw here is that you're actually implementing it. The training is actually truly being implemented while you're doing it. I think there's no, have you ever seen a class before where you're actually in the field live while you're doing the training at the same time?
Nope.
No, so far, I have not, where they've actually taken, and it's great because we're here with Joe. We were here with Joe, and he just gave us a lot of attention. That's unheard of for this call by call. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal for a company our size to come here, learn the process. And I wanted to add, Joe, there was a lot of accountability for us, not just for the techs to produce. Me and Andrew were under the gun with this guy here. You know, we got to make sure, we got to get the passwords we're trying to set up, but there was an accountability for us as well to make sure that we can lead our crew as far as what to offer them, how to check that, what to check for. So it really strengthened the guys that are behind the scene, not necessarily just the techs out there. So I think it was a dual accountability.
Yeah, what would you say if people ask you about the value of this training? Because what the class costs like $7,500 to have a team come here with one leader and at least 5 technicians.
Correct.
What do you think the value of the class? If you had to say, you know, would think the value of the class was worth that $7,500 for that week? What do you think?
I believe it is. Well, and we proved it correct because of the average ticket. So, I mean, it literally paid for itself within, 7 calls out of to the 25. So it definitely paid for itself. It's a good ROI for me. And I actually am encouraged to send another guy out even during summertime because this is so remarkable. I believe that the cost, the results out succeed the cost of what you put into it.
Well, I think what we're really seeing here too is true management. Because to me, true management is to affect change in the outcome of every call, not to scramble next day to see what we can do to get people back on track. Is to keep them on track before they go off track. Cool. Andrew, what do you think of that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You know, keeping everybody, on track, and even like with the dispatching, right? You're not going to get your next call until we finish this one. It's either yes, no, or reschedule. So I think, that was definitely, a big takeaway, as well as just keeping everybody on track with what we learned.
Well, great. Well, any final words, Rocky, from anything you guys want to say to anybody else out there? Final thoughts on this process? What do you think?
I just want to say thank you, Joe. And I believe the class is totally worth it. So if you're debating or thinking about coming or not, I would say change your mind, because it is phenomenal. And I believe in a couple of months, the results are going to surpass probably by 100% and grow again. We have grown 100% since the last month. However, I believe that we're going to grow even more. This class is phenomenal. I love it, and I just highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Andrew, thoughts on this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Just getting immersed. It's almost like the total immersion.
Yeah.
But the call by call version, right, where you're immersed with it, and you have Joe and Nick here, and they're answering all your questions. You're getting the live tech support right? With Joe and my dad was doing that as well. So I'm sure whoever was coming as well, right? Yeah, I mean, I think there was like no steps you really miss or you can miss when you're here. So, I mean, I would say it's like definitely worth it. Yes, definitely.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, Rocky and
guys.
Andrew. We'll see everybody on the next episode. Have a great one, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Joe.